Hello guys, welcome to another video. Before I start, I'm gonna say this is not a sponsored video. This application I found out on my own and I'm trying to share it out with you guys so you can better secure your web applications. So with that being said, we're going to talk about Openappsec by Checkpoint. This is a fully open source automated web application and API security solution. So you can kind of look at it as a web application firewall to use to secure your web applications and API. Instead of using the mode sec, Openappsec uses automation or AI to learn what is normal and malicious activities. They also claim that they can protect against zero-day attacks since you don't have to set specific rules. The AI and the automation is able to learn once again to determine normal activity from malicious activity. It does so by analyzing the application structure and how users interact with the content in order to identify patterns. Openappsec also provides a preemptive threat protection against OWASP top 10 and zero-day attacks. You can deploy Openappsec using Kubernetes, Nginx Proxy Manager, and Kong API Gateway. Openappsec can also be integrated with CrowdSec that we've spoken about on this channel a lot of times. The main features of Openappsec include machine learning, web application firewall, API security, bot protection, intrusion prevention, file security, rate limiting, and traffic inspection. Today, we're going to focus on how to install Openappsec and integrate it with the Nginx Proxy Manager. That way, we can secure our web applications or web APIs that are behind Nginx or proxied with Nginx Proxy Manager. So we will go over the installation, and for this video, you can install Openappsec Nginx Proxy Manager in two ways. You can completely host it locally, which means you're going to have a local rule set and you're going to manage that. Or you can use their SaaS application, which is using their web page. You create a free account and then you can control the rules from the SaaS application. So obviously the SaaS application is also included in the community edition. So you get that for free. You don't have to pay any addition. So for this first part of this tutorial, we're going to install Nginx Proxy Manager and integrate that with Openappsec using the SaaS option. So the first thing you need to do here is head over to their website. Once again, the link is included in the description below. And that web page is openappsec.io. And once you get to this page, you want to go over to login. Okay. And then we're going to sign up and create a new account. So here you want to create yourself a new account. For some reason, you have to fill this out. So we're just going to do YouTube. And then once again, we're going to enter our email address and our password here. So we're going to create an account. You can also use sign in with Google. So for this, I'm just going to sign in with Google because I already have, I'm already logged into Google. So once you've set up your account, you're going to be presented with a dashboard here, and it's going to look something like this. So once you get to this dashboard, you can see we have three options here. The first thing we want to do is we want to deploy an agent. So before we do that, we're going to set up profile. So we're going to do a Docker profile because Nginx Proxy Manager is hosted in Docker, or you install Nginx Proxy Manager using Docker. So we're going to select the Docker profile, and now we're going to give it a name. For this, I'm just going to call this Gig Together Non-Prod. You can name this whatever you want it to be. And once you get to the subtype, you want to make sure you set this up to Nginx Proxy Manager Application Security. So once you do that, we're good to go. and we want to go at the top and enforce to apply this policy. So we're going to publish that. And once we're done, now you can see we have our new profile. So within this profile, we're going to need to create an agent, which the agent is going to be the Nginx Proxy Manager we're going to deploy locally. So obviously you need a VM or a virtual machine or a physical machine that has Docker installed. You already have to have Docker installed. So this video is not going to show you how to install Docker. I'm just going to show you how to use Docker and Docker Compose to set up the Nginx Proxy Manager and the Openappsec local agent. So now that we have that done, what we need here is we need this authentication token. Okay. So before we do that, we're going to head over to our terminal here. I have an Ubuntu machine and obviously it has Docker installed. So we want to go back to the documentation. And what we need to do here is we're going to want to use this command I have pasted also in the description section below. We get to download the Docker Compose file for this installation. So we're going to paste that. And now if you ls, you can see we have our Docker Compose.yam file. So I'm going to use nano here. We'll open up this file. And inside of this file, it looks like a regular Docker Compose file that you're going to use to install Nginx Proxy Manager. But this Nginx Proxy Manager, you can see it is specific to Openappsec. So Openappsec has forked this Nginx Proxy Manager, and they've set it up in a way that is going to work with their Openappsec agent. So once you have that done, the only thing you need to change here is the token. You need to add your token that we're going to get from the SaaS profile we created. So we'll go back here, go to the profile, we'll copy that authentication token, and we want to paste that in here. Once you have that pasted in here, the only other thing you need to do is, or you can do, is add your email. This email is only useful for if you were wanting to get support in the future and so forth, but you don't have to. So I'm just going to leave that blank. I will save that. Now we're going to run the command docker compose up-d. So now that that's complete, if we head back to the browser, we're going to open up a new tab. Once you open up the new tab, you want to type in the IP address. So your IP address of your Ubuntu machine, followed by port 81, because that's what Nginx Proxy Manager uses. Once that's complete, the next thing you need to do is log in as admin.example.com with the default password of change.me. Okay. Once that's done, you log in. You want to change your admin email and your name. And also I advise you change your password. We are not worried about that for this video because this is a tutorial video. Before we create proxy host, we want to head back over to Openappsec. As you can see, I have some notifications here. First of all, it says our Openappsec agent is using the basic AI model. They also have an advanced AI model, which is free. I'll show you in another video how to set that up. For now, we're just going to use the basic AI model. And as you can see, we also are told that one agent was successfully installed. If we head over to agents, we can see here that our Docker for our Nginx Proxy Manager was installed. Okay. And you should see your IP address on here. I have mine blurred for obvious reasons. So once that's done, the next thing we're going to do is head back over to Nginx Proxy Manager, and we'll start by creating a host that we want to secure. In this case, I have an OnlyOffice document server that I want to secure. I'm using Openappsec. So I'm just going to set this up and call it docs.gigtogether.com. Okay, this is the same steps as you would do for Nginx Proxy Manager to create host. Um, so we'll enter the IP address. Okay, and once we're done, the port is 80. So whatever port you're using for that application, you're gonna put that in here. Once that's complete, you turn on any of this block common exploits, web sockets support if you need, and then you set up SSL. So we want to do SSL, we want to force SSL, and we are going to use Cloudflare. In Cloudflare, so I'm going to enter my Cloudflare API token. If you're using another DNS provider, you can do that accordingly. So once that's done, I'm also going to change this email here. Okay, and then I will go ahead and save. So once you save that, Nginx Proxy Manager should be able to reach out to your DNS provider, verify that you own that domain, and from there they're going to issue you a valid SSL certificate from Let's Encrypt. So depending on the speed and how long this takes, it should eventually get done, and you're going to get that host created, and you also have a valid certificate. So if I go over here on SSL certificates, you can see I was issued a certificate for that proxy host. Verified that we have a certificate. We've also verified that our proxy host is created. Okay, and we have our SSL all set up. The next thing you want to do is make sure you actually have the docs.geektogether.com in this case, or the host name, actually set up in your DNS records. That way you can access that on the browser. So now if I go to docs.geektogether.com here, you can see we're able to access that page over the internet, and we have a valid SSL certificate. So since we have this set up, we're going to head back over to Openappsec, our console, and we are going to go ahead and secure an asset. So we can go to add, and we'll select web application, because this is a web application, and we're going to call this only office. Okay. Remember, every time you create host in Nginx Proxy Manager, if you want to secure it with Openappsec, you also have to add it here as an asset. Okay, so we'll do Openappsec, only office, and then we're going to select the profile, which includes that agent that we installed, which is the Nginx Proxy Manager. For the web application, we want to type the link or the host name to that application. In this case, it is docs.geektogether.com. Okay, once we do that, we're gonna use the plus button to add that in there, and then we want to distinguish users. So the source, which can be the attacker or a legitimate user, we want to identify them using the source IP. If you're behind a proxy like Cloudflare, you want to do the X forwarded for header, but I'm just going to use source IP. You can also use cookie, header key, or JWT. So we'll do source IP. If you have a trusted source, you can put that in there. For example, your home's IP address. If you don't want that to get flagged or blocked for whatever reason, you can add that in here. So for now, we'll not worry about that. We'll go to threat prevention, where this is where we do a lot of the setup. So Openappsec has two ways it works. So you have the learn, protect, and the learn, detect. The difference is, since remember we said Openappsec is an AI learning model, the learn, detect, Openappsec is going to detect, is going to try to learn your environment. So it's going to try to get, look at your application and the traffic that it receives to determine what is normal and what's abnormal. Sometimes if it needs help under the learn option, once you get this saved, you're going to get like a pop-up notification asking you if a specific traffic was normal. So it will show you logs and it will ask, is this normal or is this abnormal? But for the most part, Openappsec can learn and distinguish between normal and abnormal. And that's why when you initially set this up, you want to leave it to learn detect for a couple of days so it can learn your environment. And then you can switch that to prevent. That way it starts blocking. But for now, we'll just do prevent because we want to start blocking some stuff right away. Okay. So once we do that, it has different things that by default it blocks. So it blocks for log4j shell, um, path traversal, cross-site scripting, LDAP injection, and so forth. You can go to advanced and you can also enable CSRF protection. You can do according to practice, which means it is going to follow what you have on here. So as you can see, a stop level. So all that's gonna follow to this level, which we have here for the mode. So we're just gonna turn all of this on to prevent. And then error disclosure, prevent, open, redirect, present. So you can see it's a pretty handy tool you can mess around with. Okay. And then once you do that, for the web bots option, we can leave this as default. The only downside is, or the downside to this is, the community version we really don't have the option to use the bot prevention for free. So as you can see, web application anti-bot, we don't have that. So you're gonna have to get a pay version for that. So you can just leave that as default. For the intrusion prevention, we have this. So we'll set it as stop level. So it's going to inherit prevent. You can change this or you can leave this to what it is right now. We want to activate protections with CVEs since 2016. So if you wanted to protect against CVEs further than that, you can also do that. So we'll leave that as default. High confidence, it's gonna go to the practice, which is prevent once again. And then low confidence, we'll just leave it to detect. You can add your own snort rules here. You can go to upload and you can add them. We're not going to do that today. And you can also set for file security. So we're going to set this to prevent. If you wanted to use their file security option, you might want to change that to prevent. But it is good practice once again to start with learn. And as you progress, Openappsec is going to tell you when it is ready to change from learn, detect to prevent. So since we're testing, we're going to just put prevent for right now. The log trigger is really how or what you want to do with the logs. We're going to leave this as default for now. In a future video, we'll talk about log triggers. Web user response, you can create your own custom user response. So you can show them a blog page that you've customized, or in this case, we can just use the regular blog page. You can also set up rate limiting rules. You can set up your custom rules, and we can view events, but for now we don't have any traffic. So we're going to go ahead. Every time you create a rule, you want to enforce that policy. So we can push this to the Docker agent that we have installed on that Nginx Proxy Manager machine or virtual machine. And once that's done, you can see our first asset is set up and we have our policy running. So that's good. We can head over to monitoring. Monitoring is where you see all the traffic. You see what it has prevented, what it detected, and so forth. So now we're going to run a simple attack. You can use something like Kali Linux or some other OS to run an HTTP attack on this web server, but I'm just going to try to do something as simple as running a shell command on the browser and see what happens. Okay, once we do that, you can see we get a blog page from the checkpoint Openappsec. As you can see, attack blocked by web application and checkpoints CloudGuard WAF. So now we have successfully integrated Openappsec using their SaaS platform with our local Nginx Proxy Manager installed. So if we head over back here and we refresh this page, which is the monitoring dashboard, we're going to see on here that we have 3 prevents that have happened from one suspected IP address, which is my IP address. I have that blocked out for obvious reasons. And the top attack assets are the only office. If we go to all events, we're also going to get a little more details about the attack. And you can see here the match sample was that. And we try to run a shell command on the browser on a specific URL. And also you can see Openappsec is advising us to set this to the learning process. If I open up this documentation here, it kind of tells you more in detail about what the learning process is going to look like. And this is what you should see if we were to set this threat prevention mode to learn detect, and we save that. After some time, your Openappsec install is going to grow. As of right now, it's in the kindergarten level, and you can see they have different levels. So as the Openappsec is learning, it's going to leave from kindergarten to primary school and so on until it's going to graduate to a PhD, which means you're ready to move from learning to protect mode or prevent mode. Depending on how busy your application is, the less time it's going to use to learn. Sorry. If you have a less busy application, it may take more time. This is totally up to you. You can move to prevent mode right away. The only thing is you might get a lot of false positives. So this brings us to the end of this first part of this video on how you can install and set up the Openappsec and Nginx Proxy Manager to work together and secure your web applications or your web APIs. As always, if you have any questions, you can leave it down in the comment section, and please do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.